And live from the Scheinfeld Center Innovator Studio at Santa Barbara City College, it's the Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast, where we inform and inspire Gen Z to become even more entrepreneurial and innovative in our global economy. I'm your host, Julie Sampson, director of the Scheinfeld Center. Thank you so much for joining us here today to build livelihoods that matter, be your own boss, and make the world an even better place. Well, traditionally, entrepreneurship is defined as the process of starting a business and taking on risk in the hope of profit. But is entrepreneurship only for building businesses? Joining us to break it down, all the way from Helsinki, Finland, is innovation and collaboration expert Topi Järvinen. Topi has worked at a telco, a digital agency, a Big Four consultancy, and his own startup and startup accelerator. And within these engagements, Topi has participated in the launch, growth, and scaling of more than 100 new products, more than 20 collaborations and entrepreneurship programs across Europe, and 40 startup investments. And he has co-founded 2 companies. Currently, Topi helps businesses and individuals build new skills needed for the future of work. Topi, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us all the way from Finland, where it's somewhere around midnight right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm honored to be here. Thanks for inviting me. It's a very interesting and important topic for all of us.
Yes. Well, let's jump right in. Time will go super quickly. So in your article entitled The 3 Faces of Entrepreneurship, you state the traditional view of entrepreneurship is outdated, resulting in too many missed opportunities and missed positive outcomes. You suggest that entrepreneurship, and especially the entrepreneurship mindset and way of doing things, is actually a positive asset in any environment. So first of all, explain for us, what is the entrepreneurship mindset? And then also, what do you think would be a better, more updated definition of entrepreneurship and entrepreneur?
So I tend to think about entrepreneurship as something where you look at the world as opportunities. So you look at things happening around you as something that you can do something about, something that enables you to find new business opportunities, but also it could be social opportunities, could be your community, wherever, but something that they're not obstacles that that make you unable to do stuff. They are there to make you see things in different way and help you to find new things to do in the old environment. Having this growth mindset where you are looking at the world as opportunities. And I think that's one of the core components of that. But I don't think that's the only component, because a lot of times we talked about that athletes have a growth mindset, and that's core to them as well. And we are not saying that all athletes are like entrepreneurs. But then I would add two other additional things, and one is that I think for any activity that involves making new things, new solutions, new stuff, or whatever, it involves collaboration. I'm a big believer in collaboration. I think all the innovation, even if you look through the history, has come out of collaboration. I think entrepreneurs need to look at outside of their skills, their abilities, their their immediate people that they're working with, but also look at, can they collaborate with other people? Can they learn from other people? But also, can they maybe collaborate with their customers, if there are any? And also, I think the third component here is that you also need to focus on creating value. So the growth mindset sets you in a place where you're looking at the opportunities. Then so the ability to collaborate is one thing, that you're able to make things, but also you need to focus on creating the value, not just do stuff, but also make sure that you do stuff that creates value for for the world, for your customers, for your community, whoever, so that something of value that someone may pay you for, or they think that brings value to them, so that whatever you do is worthwhile to others as well.
Excellent. So I think there's some important distinctions in there. So in broadening out this definition, does that mean that anybody can be an entrepreneur?
Absolutely, and it's not about sort of entrepreneurship. It's just a word in by itself. I know it's. I think a lot of people could sort of utilize these ideas, these ways of doing things, and the ways of thinking about things, and we call it entrepreneurship, and this is how entrepreneurs, I think, have acted all throughout the history, and this is what they do right now. And I think anyone could do this. It's something that could benefit scholars. It could benefit people working within other people's companies. It could benefit startups and sole proprietorships and whoever. But I think these kinds of things would help people to really create more value with whatever they think they are motivated to do and they have a passion for.
That's super interesting. On campus at Santa Barbara City College, we have a passion project challenge going on campus-wide, where we're encouraging students, faculty, and staff to get involved in a passion project, a project that they're passionate about. It aligns with their values, with their skills, with a mission that they care about, but also that it creates positive outcome, not just for themselves, but for other people too. And I think that's an important component that's kind of what separates it from just doing something that you're passionate about, versus creating value, and so I think
exactly.
that's a key component here.
Yeah.
So in your writings, you suggest that entrepreneurship is a way of life, and it has these three faces. So could you talk more about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I personally think about entrepreneurship in sort of three different ways. One is where you sort of you want to be your own boss. You start a company. You think that I don't want to work for other people. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to decide what I do, and over time I may do different things. By being an entrepreneur, sort of the topics and businesses could be sort of different over time, but I always want to be my own boss. And then you have the other way of looking at it, where you are sort of using entrepreneurship, sort of the traditional entrepreneurship, where you start a company as a tool for you to achieve something. So you are not interested in entrepreneurship as such and starting companies as such, but that's a way for you to achieve something that's valuable for you, and you find that you can create something of value to customers that you can serve. And then I think this third way of looking at it is that it's entrepreneurship is a mindset, where you're not really looking into starting a company, sort of the legal structure of a company, but you're working as an academic. You're working within some other company. You're working within the community and using the sort of the ideas and sort of way of thinking that entrepreneurship has, and sort of the three things at least that we just talked about, and then using those to create something that's of value to the society, to your customers, and to others.
That's such a good framework for understanding how the three ways to approach entrepreneurship. And really, like for us at the college, our students typically fall into the scenario of they're wanting to apply to a 4-year college. We're as a community college, a 2-year college, or some of them do have products and services that they want to bring to market and start their own business, and do that immediately within and out with the co-curricular support that our program offers. And then some are, well, no, they don't want to start their own business, but they still, the companies that they work for really matter to them. I think this whole thing about adopting the entrepreneurial mindset is that it requires a level of self-awareness. What is one's own vision? What is one's own values and mission? And I think for the person who has the mindset of working for a business, it helps them then place themselves well with a company that also aligns that with that. So it's not, they're not at odds with each other. So it's such a great way to frame entrepreneurship, the 3 approaches.
And also you can apply sort of thinking in very different situations. So for example, I've worked with some people that have been applying for a job, and I said that think about it through these lenses, sort of the lenses of an entrepreneur. So that what are the opportunities that you as an employee could bring to the company? What's the value you can create? And what are your collaboration capabilities? What can you bring in? And which is much stronger than just saying that, okay, I have this degree and these are the things that I've learned, but also what is the value that you can bring in? And that's sort of the same thinking, but you're not saying that I'm applying as an entrepreneur, but I'm applying with these ideas and helping myself to pitch my capabilities and my fit for the company through these lenses.
Yes, you're involved in helping individuals and businesses prepare for the future of work. So that's a great question, especially in these uncertain times. What is the future of work, and how does one prepare for that? How does entrepreneurship play into that?
Well, yeah, really, really big question. And I know that a lot of the consultant companies have a great sort of answers for that. But sort of what I think about sort of what is the future of work, there are really 3 things, at least for me. And one is that what is the important work that we need to do in the future? And it could be the global stuff like the energy crisis that we're suffering right now, and or the climate, or other things that are sort of global scale, but also it could be just the local stuff, which is of course different if you're in a rural Ohio compared to Santa Barbara. Those are the different things that you want to work on. But anyway, sort of there will be things that sort of define what we need to work on. And then the other level is that how the work is done. So, and there I think there will be a lot more digital ways to do stuff, remote work, of course, but automation, artificial intelligence, all those kinds of things that will change the way we as individuals and companies will be working on those big issues. And then I think the third thing is that what is the relationship, who does the work, and also what is the relationship between the employee and employers, and then a lot of times entrepreneurship comes. You can look at entrepreneurship as something that's valuable for all these 3 layers. Obviously, a lot of the people that you're working with right now, and I'm working here in Finland, they will be working through their own companies with various other companies to provide their services as entrepreneurs, and it's going to be one of the ways to employ yourself, even if you're not looking into starting into the next unicorn and make billions, but you're employing yourself by being an entrepreneur. And then, of course, solving those big issues in the world. Entrepreneurship is a great sort of a framework to approach a lot of these things that we all need to work on. I think entrepreneurship is one of the key things that we need to have in our toolbox in a way to solve all these things for the future of work.
Absolutely. Oh, that's brilliant. And, we have seen with the pandemic how important entrepreneurship is. A lot of the businesses that were able to be agile and rethink the way that they're doing things and pivot are the ones that were able to find success. And we see that all different types of businesses from different industries were able to do that. And of course, some had a very hard time, but I think that there's a lot of learning that can come out of this. So in your opinion, do you think the pandemic has changed entrepreneurship or changed our view of it?
Well, not necessarily. I think all of the sort of downturns, economic recessions or pandemics have always, if you look at what has happened during those downturns, they've actually been really good for the economy, at least. A lot of the biggest companies that we know of have come out of a recession. Even if you look at General Motors, General Electric, if you look at Microsoft, Apple, Airbnb, a lot of the companies that we now think are the biggest companies that sort of ruling the world, they've actually were started around a recession at one time. So I think if you look at the pandemic, I think it's another opportunity for us to see the world in a new way and find those opportunities where the status quo and sort of the old companies are not as strong anymore, and you need to look at the world from a different angle. And then looking at it from the entrepreneurial point of view will give you the edge.
So what makes a business-oriented entrepreneur successful?
Well, I would go back to the three ways to sort of three qualities and three sort of capabilities of the entrepreneur. So the growth mindset, you need to look at what are the opportunities that you can see in the world where the other parts of the world see them as obstacles. How can you turn them into solutions where you can make money or create other type of value? And then so the collaboration part is really important, because a lot of times entrepreneurship has been viewed as something where sort of if you just persist, and if you have the initial idea, if you just persist long enough, you can make it work. And this is what you hear from a lot of people, sort of the successful entrepreneurs, that you just need to stick with your idea and things will turn out okay. But in reality, a lot of people have made a lot of money by doing that, but then there are more people that have failed by sticking with their initial idea and not listening to the customers and not listening to or not collaborating and not sort of not being humble enough to look at where can I really create the value if my initial idea was not the one that creates the value. And I think that's in order to become successful, you need to focus on the value creation, not your initial idea that you care about in your initial vision, but look at, what is that the initial vision should achieve? What is the end goal for that? Not the idea itself, but what is the value that it should create? And then you'll find other solutions that will do that in a better way if you are able to sort of listen to others, listen to collaborate, listen to your customers and maybe other people that are around you.
Oh, that's such wise advice. I often see, I haven't seen the report for 2022, but I often see, these reports about what are the main reasons that startups fail. And
Right.
for a long time, the number 1 or 2 position is there's no market need. The entrepreneurs don't do exactly what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
validate their assumptions, see if the idea, that the problem or need that they think is out there, is people really have that, and whether or not they're actually satisfied with current solutions or workarounds that they
Mhm.
are using, or whether they're really seeking something. So I totally agree with you. Let me see here. We've got several questions from the audience. So how were you able to identify your strengths and weaknesses when you first started? Let's see, I think the follow-on is, what are some tools you think will help new entrepreneurs be more confident?
Well, I'm still learning. After 25 years, I think I'm still learning about sort of my strengths and my weaknesses, and I'm constantly learning. So one of the key drivers for me, being an entrepreneur, being an investor, whatever, has been that I've always wanted to make sure that I learn something. I learn something about myself. I learn something about making better decisions, and in the end, creating that value that I talked about. And then my strengths and my weaknesses change over time, and that's a good thing, because then I can see that something is happening. But also, if I wake up one morning and think that, okay, I don't have any weaknesses anymore, then I'm in trouble. That should never happen,
Right. Yeah, I couldn't imagine waking up and feeling like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of interesting, because our internal process that is required of this continuous learning is also the same thing that businesses need, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Continually staying apprised of the environment. So our businesses are really an extension of how we are individually. That's interesting. So, so do you have any tools that you think will help entrepreneurs be more confident?
Well, I think there are a lot of good tools for different things that you may want to approach. But if you're just looking at sort of the business tools, there are lots of tools for sort of if you look at design thinking or lean startup, or all these different types of frameworks that give you sort of the confidence of what are the things that I should be doing at this stage. Because I think as an entrepreneur, you should have really, really sort of laser focus on the things that are really important and that you should focus on right now. So early on, for example, if you don't know who are your customers, and what is really the solution that you should be aiming for, you probably shouldn't make a huge Excel and start sort of modeling a business that when you don't know what your business is about. Or you shouldn't start coding a lot of stuff if that's what your business is all about, before you know what you should be doing. So you need to have a laser focus on those things, and then these tools, for example, give you pretty good idea on what are the things that you should be focusing at different stages, and they usually help. But it's also that depending on your personal preference. Some may work and some may not, but in general, I highly suggest that anyone should look at those, and you probably are looking at those in some of your classes as well.
We use design thinking for sure a lot,
Yeah.
and there are out of the tech world, the lean startup approach.
Yeah.
What amazing value that has brought to entrepreneurship. All right, so let's see. We've got another one. How do you separate yourself from other companies in your field? I think this is maybe asking specifically about what you are doing with your company.
Well, I think it's all about the customer relationship. So how can you create sort of the trusted relationship? It's the same thing, even if you're a $1 billion company, or if you make $10,000 a month. It's about making sure that you're creating something of value that your customers love and they want to pay for, and they trust you as a provider of that. Even if it's if your business is about providing the best coffee and cupcakes for your neighborhood, they should feel that you're the best one, that they can trust you. You do the best job that could be done for that community, or if you're making cars or whatever. But I think it's all about the customer relationship and putting the customer in the center of everything you do.
Oh, such a great answer. Hey, let's take one more. What is the best thing a young entrepreneur or people in college or high school who don't have a lot of experience, what can they do to prepare themselves entrepreneurially, for the real world?
Yeah. Well, I always encourage everyone to talk with and maybe get an internship or some part-time job at the startup, at the local business. It's really not so much about the money, but making sure that so the company is willing to coach you or give you some insights about running the company, or just being in sort of the entrepreneurial environment. And I think that those are great places where you can sort of see and learn how the world works. How does entrepreneurship work in real life? And that's something that I've done a lot of training, and there are schools can provide a lot of training, but then the real world, you should always have that as something where you see that, okay, even if you have that sort of theoretical knowledge, you should put that into practice and work with these companies that do it on a daily basis, and learn from the people that have done it longer than you have.
Yes. Oh, so great. And yes, getting this hands-on experience is oh so important, and our entrepreneurship program is built on that, and the co-curricular programs that wrap around it that include internships and things like this whole passion project challenge that we're doing, that's designed to help anybody kind of get a feel for how do you use entrepreneurship in an everyday life, like this. So it's super exciting, the possibilities here. I can hardly believe it, but we have reached the end of our time. And I'm wondering though, I'm sure that our audience would love to follow you and delve into your work more and your writing. So what's the best place for them to connect with you?
LinkedIn, that's certainly the best. And Twitter, those are the places where you can find me and connect with me. I always love interaction with people around the world. So just let me know if you have any questions. If I could help in any way, just let me know.
Fantastic, Topi. That's so generous of you. And we're so thankful that you do like to connect with people around the world, because that's why you were willing to do this at midnight.
Exactly. Yeah.
We really appreciate it. So thank you so much for joining us. And to our audience, we will put Topi's Twitter and LinkedIn accounts in the description. And to our audience, we hope that this supports you in your entrepreneurship journey. If you're not sure what a passion project is that we've been talking about, we encourage you to stick with us throughout this season, because we're going to go through what it is and how do you design and implement a passion project from start to finish and gain important entrepreneurial skills along the way. So join us. Thanks again, Topi. And
Thank you.
thanks to everyone. We'll see you again next week.